Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So let's talk about what happened today. So Rafa and I started our day again on the barn door here, the 54. And we spent literally half a day just going over this bus with a fine tooth comb and making a very exhaustive list of little things that we're going to recommend to the owner that we do. And we spent time making phone calls and doing research, trying to get ducks lined up, so to speak, for his seats, which are all the back two are missing, and his front ones have some issues as far as the frames and so on. So again, the idea is to generate this list of everything we see with the bus, and then kind of float it by the owner and see what he wants us to do. So yeah, we found a lot of things. This is a super nice bus, but when you start getting down into the nitty gritty details, there's room for improvement. And I talked about some of these things before, some of the more major things. And yeah, we found a lot of stuff. Again, mostly minor, I might have mentioned this yesterday. The semaphore switch knob is the wrong color. It's got the wrong dome lights, little things. We looked at the wiring on this today, and it has like a custom wiring harness on it that somebody actually did a nice job, but the wiring colors are all wrong, which is it's covered. You don't really necessarily see it, but then they've got this weird terminal block here that I'm not really sure what's going on with. And then we figured out today that this is, I think, the windshield wiper switch, and they've got this weird fuse here, which is probably for that. I'm not even sure. And then the starter always works even when the key is not turned on. And the headlight switch seems to be very flaky. When you turn the headlights on, they almost like flash because it's not making a good connection. So I think we're going to recommend that we just rewire the bus probably from scratch with the correct harness, and get rid of some of this kind of weird or this weird stuff that's not correct. We'll match the paint, we'll weld these closed, and body work them, fill them in, and then restore these switches if possible, replace them if not, and get all the electrical ironed out so it all works correctly. The bulb holders on the back two lights are there's at least part of the correct bulb holders in there, but then there's also, we found like plastic bulb holders, maybe something from an auto parts store, and the bulbs are just kind of flopping around in there. And then the brake light, the bulb holder is incorrect. So, again, it's being nitpicky, but the owner did ask us to kind of go through it with a fine tooth comb, and we have a very fine tooth comb. So that's exactly what we did. So super exhaustive list here, and hopefully we'll be talking to the owner pretty soon and run that list by him and see what he wants us to do. So that was literally about half our day. Again, making a lot of phone calls and text messages and stuff, trying to hunt down some of the parts that we see that we're missing or that are incorrect. And we have what we feel like is a pretty good plan in place that we'll be able to discuss with the owner, and then again see what he wants to do. And then again, we have some cool ideas about the motor, punching that out to a 1400, and then a cool intake that you're very unlikely to see anyone else having, pretty rare, and maybe a different set of wheels and tires that he could put on and be able to swap back and forth between the stock early Bus 16s, and then this other pair that we're thinking about, and then some bitch and brake upgrade, and yeah, all kinds of fun stuff we can do with this baby to just make it over the top bitchin'. So we shall see. So again, that was actually more than half our day. The other thing Rafa did today was he got the steering column is now officially bolted in. So you guys know, if you watched our other Manx, is it Manx, or if you're a Manx people, enthusiast, whatever, they make this bracket here for where the steering column goes through the body that's got a little Manx character on it. It's kind of cute. So Rafa went ahead and put that on, and also he made a sort of a clamp for the steering column that goes right here behind the dash that interfaces with pretty much the handmade dash support that's back there, where we cut up the Manx one and made one that actually fits and works. So yeah, that's in for real now. And then he went ahead also and installed the gauge panel. So this is the one that's actually hinged like that. You see the hinge down there? And so the nice thing about this is when you go to wire it, you can literally just like flop this thing down on its hinge and then sit here and do all your wiring. And then when you're done, just literally like flop it back up and put a couple screws in and you're good to go. So much easier than like an original style Manx like this, where you have to literally like lay on the floor with your head like up underneath there and wire everything up underneath there. So much more convenient. It's a different look than the original style. So take your pick. It's one of the cool things about Manxes is there's no right or wrong answer except for what the owner prefers. So this one being as how this was an original Manx made way back in 1968. The owner wanted to stay with kind of like original period correct look on it, and so that's what we did. This one got some more sort of modern touches here. This instrument panel is much more modern looking than that, needless to say. And it's got like a later Beetle gauge in it that's got the fuel gauge integrated into it and stuff like that. So yeah, they're both super cool in their own way. That's kind of what's fun about Manxes. So he did that. And for me, the rest of the air conditioning kit showed up today for the double cab. So that was pretty exciting. So a huge box full of a bunch of littler boxes and some big ass rolls of the various hoses, because you got to run from basically the back of this thing all the way pretty much to the front to connect all this stuff. So I did go ahead and mount the condenser up under here, which you can kind of see it there. Basically like a big ass radiator. It's got a couple fans on it. That's what the wire's coming out of it for. So that's all mounted up underneath there now. And then I also started working inside the cab some. So I put the holes in the floor. You see 2 holes up there. I actually need to put a third smaller one in between. So those are for the air conditioning hoses, one going to the evaporator, one coming back from it. And then the one that I mentioned that's going to go in the middle is the drain. As you guys know, when you run an air conditioning, there's water that kind of condenses and drips. So that middle one will be like a drain hose, so water will drip down there on the ground when the AC is running. But yeah, I got those drilled in there and kind of touched up the paint around those holes that I drilled, and then the grommets will go on them like those, which are the same ones that are used in the engine compartment. And then I also started actually like working on the ducting. So I think I mentioned before, one of the things I like about this system is it actually ties into the built-in ventilation system. So these 2 outlets here, the ones that are on the either side of the dash, those actually become air conditioning vents. And then there's a couple other vents that come with the kit that'll sit more kind of like here, and here. So very kind of integrated in that way. So what you do is you take the I'll if I can show this better from under here. So this is the fresh air box. So fresh air comes in through the front of the car up here, you know, through the grill and the nose, and it goes into this big box, and then comes through this duct here, and then it goes up through this plastic pipe here, which normally comes to here, and then it also goes off to the dash. So the outer ones here hook to the fresh air system, and then the inner two hook up to the heater, so for like a defroster. But anyway, so yeah, the outer ones end up hooking into the air conditioner system. So pretty much you take these Y pipes and you cut one arm or whatever you want to call it of the Y off that goes to here, and then that actually gets a hose on it, which will in turn run over to the evaporator, which kind of mounts up underneath that side of the dash. So yeah, I actually started working on the duct work here. So pretty much you lob off the leg of the Y here that normally runs to here. You cut that off, and then he supplies some basically like tape that you cap that off with there, and then connect the hose and run it over, connect that hose, run it over, and then the two little ones that run under the dash here that have little things that you can point in different directions, you know, the little outlets like you would expect to see on an air conditioner. So yeah, I mean, I feel like this system is going to look about as factory as it could. So really cool, really nice system. Again, Gilmore Enterprises, if anyone's interested in a really nice air conditioning system for their V-Dub, they make them for pretty much all models of air-cooled Volkswagens. So check them out, Gilmore Enterprises. They're in Las Vegas. So that is mostly it for today. The only other notable thing is that the long block is back for the poor Van Halen cowlick bug. So got to get back onto that and stick it in the car and get this baby going. So that's good news for this car here. And so I believe that's no, I lied, that's not quite it. So Jacob worked on the 69 bay window today, and he got the dash pretty much all disassembled, all the ventilation removed from it, the gauge cluster out of it. He took the water windshield squirter bottle out from kind of below the dash down there on the basically at the nose of the bus, and some other odds and ends. So yeah, it's coming apart slowly but surely. So Jacob's so far been kind of spearheading disassembling that bus, and you know, bagging and tagging everything, keeping it all good and organized. So for real, that's it for today. So thank you guys for watching, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye.